Hello, my name is Rubin. I play piano and I'm the regional director of Back to Bach, Rockingham County in New Hampshire.
Hi everyone, my name is Elaine and I play violin and piano.
Hey everyone, I'm Brian and I play piano and cello.
Composers have been writing sonatas for hundreds of years, making the sonata a special type of music.
A sonata is a piece of music which contains 3 or 4 movements. In music, a movement is a shorter section of a longer work.
The movements tend to have different keys and forms, with at least one movement in sonata form.
Often, sonatas for orchestral instruments have piano accompaniment. First, we'll walk you through the sonata form.
A sonata is a musical structure consisting of 3 main sections: an exposition, a development, and a recapitulation. It has been a popular form since the 1750s for classical music. Let's talk about the exposition.
In the exposition, the composer introduces themes for the first time. In other words, the themes are exposed to the listener. A theme is a melody that can be heard throughout a piece of music multiple times.
Right now in the background, I'm playing Haydn's Piano Sonata number 62 in E-flat major. Listen to the melody you hear. That is the theme.
Soon we'll be entering the development section. In the development section, the themes are changed in a variety of ways. These changes are how the musical ideas are developed.
Sometimes composers develop the theme by putting it in a different key or by changing some of the notes. These changes can affect the emotion of the theme, causing the music to have a sense of tension and unease.
The recapitulation section is a recap of the musical themes from the exposition. The themes the composer introduced in the exposition are played again, often with some variation.
Repeating the initial themes again gives listeners a sense of closure, allowing the piece to come to an end.
Next, we'll talk about the different movements which make up a sonata. Typically, a sonata contains 3 movements. The first movement is usually fast, the second is slower, and the third is fast again.
Some composers broke from this tradition. For example, Prokofiev's third piano sonata has only 1 movement.
Within this one movement, the beginning is fast, the middle is slow, and the ending is fast again. Take a listen.
This is the first part, which is fast and loud. The audience can easily get a sense of urgency and excitement. Now we are in the slow section of the piece. This part is calmer and dreamy, certainly more relaxed than the beginning. Now we're at the end of the piece, which has a similar personality to the beginning. Prokofiev was able to fit all different kinds of emotions, colors, and characters all into one piece. That's the beauty of a sonata.
Now we'll talk about some famous composers and the sonatas which they wrote. Franz Joseph Haydn was a famous composer from Austria. In 1789, he took a break from composing piano music. 5 years later, however, Haydn went to London for the second time to be inspired by friends and artists. After he came back, he composed Piano Sonata No. 62, his last piano sonata. His music became richer and deeper with more emotion.
Haydn once had a student named Ludwig van Beethoven. Haydn said once that Beethoven will one day be considered one of Europe's greatest composers, and I shall be proud to be called his teacher. Haydn was not wrong. Beethoven himself composed many sonatas as well. One of his early pieces was named Pathétique, composed in 1798. It is named Pathétique because it reminds the listener of tragedy.
When he performed this piece, it showed the world that he was not only a wonderful pianist, but also a wonderful composer.
Now, Elaine and I will play an excerpt for you from Beethoven's Piano Sonata in C minor, his Pathétique Sonata, and this is arranged for piano and violin. It's the slow movement.
What's your favorite season? Mine is spring. 3 years after composing Pathétique, Beethoven composed a piece for the violin nicknamed the Spring Sonata. It was named after how the piece reflects the beauty of the spring season.
Near that time, he also composed the very famous Moonlight Sonata. This was dedicated to his love at the time. He wrote of her, "A dear sweet girl who loves me and whom I love." Unfortunately, she married someone else. Although the love is gone, the Moonlight Sonata still remains.
When composers first show their music, it is not always well liked. This was the case for Frédéric Chopin's Piano Sonata No. 2, Opus 35 in B-flat minor. Many musicians, including one composer named Robert Schumann, said that the 4 movements of this piece were incoherent and lacked unity. Mean! Nowadays, the critics are gone and many people love this piece. Its 3rd movement is the very famous Funeral March.
Some composers have a hard time getting started. One example is Brahms, who was born the same day as me, May 7th. He faced difficulties until he met another composer named Robert Schumann. Remembering him, they became friends quickly.
In 1865, Brahms wrote a piece called Sonata for Piano and Cello. It was dedicated to a cellist friend named Joseph. When they played together in front of other friends, Joseph complained that Brahms played the piano so loud that he could not hear his own cello. Well, Brahms was the composer, so what could Joseph do?
Many years later, in 1888, nearly 100 years after Haydn first met Beethoven, Brahms wrote his last sonata for violin. Because this was written near the end of his career, Brahms had all of his experience behind him as he wrote this beautiful piece.
Thanks for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed learning more about sonatas.